Well, I wonder, when was the last time you heard a sermon on the Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs, as it's also known? I've not preached on it for some years, and I cannot remember ever hearing a sermon on it when I was growing up. How did a book that doesn't mention God and which celebrates erotic love find its way into the biblical canon? Well, the answer is that in the 1st century CE, the inclusion of the Song of Solomon into the Jewish canon was very hotly debated. The matter was finally settled by the great teacher and mystic Rabbi Akiba, who declared, "The whole world is not worth the day on which the Song of Songs was given to Israel. For all the scriptures are holy, but the Song of Songs is the Holy of Holies." For the rabbis, this love poem was an allegory about God's love for Israel. Well, a couple of centuries later, when the early church fathers were deciding on the canon of scripture, they followed the example of their Jewish forebears and declared that the Song of Solomon was an allegory of Christ's love for the church. However, they also recognized that this poetry of love could be misread, and so there were caveats regarding its use. Origen, who was writing in the 3rd century, warned, "But if any man who lives only after the flesh should approach this book, to such a one, the reading of this scripture will be the occasion of no small hazard and danger. For he, not knowing how to hear love's language in purity and with chaste ears, will twist the whole manner of his hearing away from the spirit to the flesh." And Bernard of Clairvaux, writing in the 12th century, gave similar warnings, but then proceeded to write 86 sermons on the songs and didn't get past chapter 2. So with these warnings ringing in our ears, we look at the text in today's reading. The Song of Songs is unique in the scriptures. In no other book in our Bible do we find passionate lyrics extolling the physical love between a woman and a man. What is more, it's the woman's voice that dominates the book. This woman claims her voice, her desire, and her lover as her own, and does so proudly and poetically. In today's verses, the two lovers declare their love for each other's physical being. The woman extols the way her lover moves and his physical agility. In other passages, the man will extol the beauty of the woman in great detail. Chapter 4 begins with a paean of praise for his lover, extolling her eyes, hair, teeth, lips, mouth, neck, and breasts. I remember very clearly a wedding I took at Paddington many years ago, where the couple asked if they could have a reading from the Song of Songs in their sermon, in their service. And I said, yes, I was very happy to include a reading from the Song of Songs, but just make sure, I said, that the person reading has read it and knows a little bit more about it. Well, we got to the wedding and we got to the reading part of the service, and this young man got up and started to read from Holy Writ, and it was clear that he had never encountered such a passage before, and indeed was extremely embarrassed. So as he started to read the passage describing the woman's eyes, hair, teeth, lips, mouth, neck, and then he looked down and saw the word breasts. And he was obviously completely embarrassed and didn't think you could use that word in church. And you could see what was going through his mind of thinking of other alternatives, which were all worse. So in the end, he just blurted it out and then sat down looking terribly embarrassed. Well, that was a problem for him. Well, in addition to the two lovers, there are two other groups found in the text: the daughters of Jerusalem and a group of male voices and each group acts as a chorus. Today's passage has a garden setting. Flowers, fruits, spices, trees, and vineyards abound. And in the Song of Songs, they constitute the scenery and the set upon which the act is played. The budding, flowering, and ripening of the flora can be read as metaphorical suggestions of growing love, approaching fullness and readiness. The poet also invokes particular animals that suggest themes in the love and behaviour of the couple. Often the young man is likened to a gazelle or a young stag. Humanity and nature share centre stage in the Song of Songs. In today's passage, the flowering of spring is the explanation and the grounds for the man's proposal that his lover come away with him. Spring is for their enjoyment, but also an expression of the budding of nature and a metaphor for the couple whose love is now mature and ready. In the first 2 chapters from the book alone, there are 14 comparisons of the human characters to flora and fauna. Nearly all the metaphors in a poem rich in metaphors are drawn from the animal and vegetable kingdoms. For the garden setting may be intended to evoke the Garden of Eden. In the song, the woman and man are in harmony with each other and with the natural world. Even the lions and leopards mentioned in chapter 4 are benign and friendly. The song describes a love marked by fidelity and mutuality. The lovers are faithful to each other and have eyes for no one else. The woman is not shy and certainly not submissive, speaking more than the man. It has been pointed out that her declaration, "I am my beloved's and his desire is for me," is a reversal of Eve's punishment in the Garden of Eden, when God declares, "Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." The only challenge to this idyllic setting appears in a dream described in chapter 5, where the woman dreams of losing her lover and goes searching for him, only to be attacked by sentinels guarding the city. But in the next chapter, she finds her beloved pasturing his flock among the lilies and declares, "I am my beloved's, and he is mine." Well, it helps to view the Song of Songs in the context of other wisdom books in the Hebrew Scriptures. Current studies suggest that the wisdom books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job were written in the tumultuous post-exilic period. The concern of the sages of Israel responsible for the wisdom writings was the formation of character of the young. Proverbs in particular is filled with instructions for following the path of moderation and diligence in work, prudence in the choice of friends, respect for one's teachers, and compassion for the poor. Fidelity and sexual discipline were also regarded as important for the stability and integrity of the community. So the Song of Songs may well have been used as a testament to the joys of faithful marriage relationships. In summary, the Song of Songs portrays a couple enjoying nature and reveling in their love for each other. Love, nature, and humanity are the themes. God is not mentioned, but as the creator, he is the unseen figure behind every scene. He is the one who gave us the gift of love in all its forms, including sexual love, which is on view throughout this book. Living in a society saturated with sexual images, but often lacking in prominent examples of lifelong faithful love, our text celebrates love between a man and a woman, marked by joy and mutuality. Well, finally, it's not surprising that parts of this collection of love poems should have found their way into the words of hymns and spiritual songs. Jesus remains the clearest expression of God's love for the world and his love for each one of us. Divine love and human love are not mutually exclusive. Human love at its best can be a glimpse of God's love. And as John wrote, we love him because he first loved us. Amen.